And welcome everyone to day number 14 of our season. It's our preview for the Tuesday, August the 17th card at Colonial Downs. 9 races, all flat wagering races, and looking forward to it. Discussing the card, our track analyst and handicapper Jessica Paquette is joining me. Jess, I thought a pretty good Tuesday card this week.
I think this is a great card.
Yeah, I'm very excited for a few of these cards this week, and Tuesdays is up there with Mondays. They're very exciting. Why don't we start out with the first race on the program, and maiden special weight event fillies 2-year-olds. A really interesting firster. Of course, Lidstrom was debuting for Stidham on Monday, and here you have an Uncle Mo Godolphin homebred in Soft Touch.
As someone who also owns a Godolphin homebred, always a fan to see them. However, I am trying to beat this one here. The dam is a half sister to Sky Mesa. You couldn't find a more quality pedigree, of course. Yeah. This one looks well meant, obviously. But I got a little seduced by quite a few of the pedigrees in this race. This is one of those races that probably took me longer to handicap than the rest of the card entirely, because I just kept doing deep dives on pedigree query. And number 4, Sparkle Blue. Wow. This horse is a half sister to Breeders' Cup filly mare turf winner Shared Account, who's also the dam of Breeders' Cup champion Sharing. So there's just a tremendous pedigree for this horse. Bred to excel around 2 turns, debuting around 2 turns for Grand Motion. I think just a lot to like there. And one horse who I am interested in seeing is the 2 Amazon Queen, who in her debut, she looked great. This is a horse who I think is going to turn out to be a really quality filly. She was not meant to sprint, and I was struck by what a rangy filly she looked like. She's one who I actually wonder if maybe we'll see a better showing of her as a 3-year-old. She looked like she had a lot of developing and filling out to do still as well.
Well, yeah, I remember you saying that, because if I remember right, that was opening day, or no, it was opening week. But
I at least felt clever because she was the favorite and she looked great, and I liked her in a lot of ways, but she was not meant to go 5.5 furlongs.
Yeah, I thought it was one of your great analyst moments, because 6-5 shot that we could maybe pitch is a great thing for horse players, and as it turned out. But I was really curious if you'd go back to this one just because of now stretching out and stuff. So what I'm getting at is I'm really excited to hear what you have to say when you see this horse this time for this race, because you've been doing, sorry to hold you, I interrupt you again.
No, go. Tell me nice things about myself.
I was going to tell you a nice thing about yourself, because a lot of times these younger races now, you've been doing additional analysis at 1 or 2 minutes to post once they've been on the track, once the board is a little bit more set, and I think it's provided some good information.
I think it's really helpful to see how some of these young horses warm up, because some of them, no matter how well bred you are or how well prepared you are, you're never going to prepare a horse truly for what a racing environment is. And there are some that hit the track and get near the pony and go, oh my God, what am I doing? This is wild. And there are some that act like they've been there before. So it's an interesting thing to watch them kind of warm up and see how they look.
There was one last week who you were talking about how much you loved in the paddock, and then it got to the track and it was a different experience for that horse.
Yeah, and I don't want to say anything truly disparaging about these horses, because I very much understand the amount of effort and care that goes into getting them to this point. But sometimes with horses, no matter how much you prepare, they then really disappoint you. I mean, there were horse shows I have gone to where, I've gone in totally prepared, everything is great, and then we get in the ring and everything just crumbles. And that's just how it goes.
Happens for us humans too. Your picks for the first race?
4, 1, 3, and 2.
The second race on the card, we're on the main track, 25,000 non-winner of 2 lifetime runners, and fillies and mares again. And, a few horses who are, this is the thing we've talked about a fair bit with non-winner of 2 horses who have recently won the maiden and kind of coming back. There's a lot of them who are either last out winners or 2-back winners. So I was kind of curious to see where you landed, because that hovers in your handicapping zone.
Yeah, I do really feel that's a hard rule. For me, I'm kind of breaking that slightly here with the Michael Stidham horse. That's number 2, Pie Killer. I think class just takes her a little too far here. I think she has a bit of a class edge. Going back to the main track, she's been better on the dirt, and I think looks pretty conservatively spotted. She's one, wouldn't shock me at all if she gets claimed out of this race based on how useful I think she could be. What do you do with Flowers for Chantel? That's the question I have here.
It was a huge debut effort against, I thought, a really
so much money
and a really weak field.
Yeah.
And so I'm using the speed figure as a little bit of a gauge, and has to move forward a little bit, at least based on Brisnet, which I use. But it was a professional win, but it was like she was just blowing by horses that she was just better than.
Yeah, and looked very well meant that day. I
Yeah.
wasn't expecting her to kind of go off as the heavy favorite, but she did.
Yeah, and notice, this time they jumped the price up quite a bit because it's, I think maybe they were stealing a little bit last time
Sure.
and got away with it. It was a brilliant piece of entry and winning. But yeah, I think a little bit of a question mark type horse, but not one I would want to use. I found the 5 a little more intriguing than the 3, just because I thought the last effort, first time against winners, was pretty good at a little bit of a lower level, but still a good effort. Closing here is not the easiest thing to do on the main track.
No, and really galloped out well and was
Yeah.
making up ground pretty well that day too.
Who'd you pick in race 2?
2, 3, 5, and 7.
The third race on the card, we're outer turf sprinting for the maiden 2-year-olds, and smallish field here, a fair bit of speed, but a lot of horses who have just run pretty good so far in their young career. This is kind of a contested little group.
Yeah, I think this is a nice group. And I went, I think, eating a little bit of chalk here with number 1, Heavenly Trip, trying the turf for the first time, but 2 really respectable efforts on the main track. Plenty of turf influence in this horse's pedigree. I'm going to include mare. You can really make a case here. This is one I do want to get a good look at in the paddock. I want to see if this horse looks like a turf horse to me.
Mm-hmm.
But Brittany Russell, very live barn. I think a lot to like.
Yeah, it's interesting. I mean, super live barn. Her horses haven't really fired here yet, but I mean, only from a handful of starts. And so she wins one. She's now 20% at the meet. Stidham has Leo Villain here, who I thought was kind of just an even, decent first time effort. I thought Swift Dancer's effort on the lead week 2 was not the place to be on the front end. This one battled pretty good before getting caught by Conager. I thought maybe a little bit of a playback for that angle. And Midnight Magnolia is one they spent a lot of money on for Dallas Stewart and kind of just ran a little bit of an even run, took money that day. And I got to think moves forward a little bit here.
Yeah, I think so. There's a Dallas Stewart horse actually later in the card I am very excited about. It's either Tuesday or Wednesday. It all bleeds together at this point until we talk about them.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a solid little group.
Your picks for the third?
1, 3, 4, and 5.
The fourth race on the program, $10,000 non-winner of 3 lifetime. And I've noticed that in a fair bit of our non-winner of 3, it's not so much the case in this race. In fact, I don't think it's the case at all in this race. There's another non-3, as you said, bleeding together, where like half the field was non-2s.
Yeah.
This one, that's not the case. It feels like
it's not like we don't run enough non-2s, but it's
this one, it seems like everybody's in the right spot.
I went with the 2 Stringfella. A lot of my rules apply here. I like a horse that looks like they're making progress through their conditions, and it really looked like he caught a good group. Dream of Seville came back to run, I thought, really well, and kind of legitimized that performance.
Yeah, and winning from the 13 hole, not always the easiest thing to do. Kind of just stayed out wide in the clear and just ran them all down for Dennis Arrojo last time. Dennis back. I thought it was kind of funny. The number 1 Big Venezuela is like one of the my dad used to always talk about the every other angle, horses that run good every other race. And man, this horse is
does he bounce. Yeah.
Like 10 beating 70, 10 beating 30, 10 beating 30, but in between that, win and a good third. So
off of that pattern, and it sort of is at this point a pattern. I mean, toss, right?
Yeah, if you believe in the Mark Beem axiom, you got to do it. I was curious if the number 4 Thomond Park made it to your Derek Ryan's horses have been running very well since coming here to Colonial.
Looks really legitimate here, coming in off of a good win at Monmouth. I thought that was a big step forward off of what had been otherwise pretty average form, but the barn's just been crazy live.
Speaking of live barn, Mary Epler's horses have been running really well here, and Resident Liberals one that didn't win but came very close to it and is in this race as well.
I mean, as your resident liberal, I also like this horse a little bit. But yeah, second behind Vincent Van Gogh, who I think quite highly of, and I think is a really quality horse doing whatever you ask him to do.
We just lost 45% of our viewers, Jess.
That's fine. They know. I mean, you know. That can't be a surprise. I'm from Boston.
There you go. Your selections for that fourth race.
2, 6, 5, and 4.
Race number 5, we start the late pick 5, and the 2-year-old fillies were sprinting on the outer, right? It says,
they're on the dirt.
They're on the dirt. I got to get my PPs have had.
Is this another instance where Brisnet has led you astray?
I had to write to Brisnet the other day about the dirt mile thing, and this is another one where, because it's showing on the inner course, but it's obvious, so that's why
my DRF PPs are great.
Well, the Brisnet ones are going to be great after I'm done with them. So we're on the main track, 2-year-olds, and go ahead.
I like Musique. Good debut effort. It kind of did everything you like, and I think Sequest. I mean, you also agree. Sequest is the most impressive horse we've seen so far this meet.
He was pretty awesome, and
She.
or she, and yeah, this horse did a lot of the kind of heavy lifting in that race, and Sequist came from way back, and Musique put away everybody else, just couldn't hold off the challenge of a really good late runner. But there's some interesting ones in here, both a couple firsters toward the outside for big powerful barns that Merv made 4-1, both those. I even thought the 6 Tisnina ran a pretty decently even effort first time it was on grass, but I mean, there's just a lot of ways to go here, I think.
Yeah, I also like the one Horizon
Yeah.
Moon. Interesting debut runner. I like that recent work tab at Fair Hill and 6-figure purchase. And it's not like she has this big impressive pedigree.
Yeah.
So she's a really good looking filly to kind of cost that much.
Your picks for the 5th, Jess?
8, 9, 1, and 10.
6th race on the card. Mile and a 16th, inner turf, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it just seems to be the dirt with. It was more me misreading it, was what it was. So
Sure.
don't want to blame Briz. 2-year-old, hey man, I got to collect a check here. Field of 8 runners, and I'm a big Kenny McPeak second timer, so I kind of like Mackenzie's Nova, who did a lot of tough work and a pretty honest pace last time, and I thought that Electrostatic was a good debut winner, so I'm really excited to see this one back. There's a Graham Firster in here though, so I know that's where you went, right?
No, it is not. Mackenzie's Nova is actually my strongest opinion, not of the day, not only of the day, of the entire week. The entire week.
There's 2 Graham Motion horses in here.
I know this hurts me a little bit. I'm not gonna lie.
You're getting uninvited to the Real Ryder Cup dinner next year.
Oh no! It's a highlight of my year. Mackenzie's Nova is probably top 3 physical specimens I have seen in the paddock so far this season. Mm-hmm. This horse came out looking like a 3-year-old with this big developed shoulder, big developed neck. His hind end, like he still looks like a young horse kind of behind. This is one that his best days are well in front of him. I think the more experience he gets and the more kind of physically developed he gets, like once he gets a little bit more of a top line, this horse, I mean, he's the real deal. I think very highly of this horse. I thought the turf was an interesting way to debut. Nice female family. He's a really nice looking horse.
Yeah, the comment prolonged pressure, which for a debut runner going 2 turns on a track that week 2 was not favoring the front runners, everything about it I thought was a really, really good effort. And because of the fact there's a motion firster and a motion second time and a Delacour firster, like I don't know that Mackenzie Nova is going to get crushed at the windows. There's actually 2. This is the race I was talking about yesterday with the 2 Delacour firsters. There's a Stidham firster. Like I feel like I
didn't even pick either of the Grand Motion horses in my top 3.
Yeah, Anita's going to be real mad.
That's how good this field is, though. And I think Spotted Cat, kind of an interesting firster for Delacour.
Mm-hmm. Your picks for the 6th race, Jess?
6, 4, 8, and 7.
7th race on the card, and we're non-winner of 2 land, 16,000 fillies and mares at a mile. And I mentioned Mary Epler, and she's got one that she got from Bill Mott down on the rail with Dreammaker Racing. Sunny Me Dreams coming off of a nice win here. There's a couple different ways to be interested. English Charmer was one you liked last week. Did you like that one coming back here?
I do. This horse broke the ice last time out, going for 2 in a row, has the pedigree really to kind of run all day. So I think there's a lot to like there. I'm also a giant Mike Arrow fan. He's an old Suffolk Downs trainer. His whole family trained horses in New England. This horse is owned by Al Tassone, who again was a longtime owner in New England. I love seeing some of my friends from the East Boston Oval go on and succeed wherever they kind of have wound up, with us all being little dispersed refugees around the country in racing. Mm-hmm. And English Charmer I really like here.
I got speaking of racing colleagues, Luis Ocasio, who's our one of our analysts down at Tampa, is part owner of the 12 horse. So we got to give Luis a little shout out with Independence Law. Your picks for the 7th, Jess?
7, 4, 1, and 2.
8th race on the program. We are on the main track. Optional claimer 25,000, and Arabian Prince, a 7-5 morning line favorite, one of the lower ones we've seen in a little while. Grade 2 placed. They tried the Lecomte, didn't work out. Obviously something amiss, or they went to the to the sidelines for a little bit. But I'm sure one where a lot of people are going to take a stand.
There was that Dallas Stewart horse last week that was coming in off of a big layoff in a bad last running line that I tried to beat and couldn't do it, still beat me. So I'm apparently done trying to beat these short price Dallas Stewart horses off the layoff when they are just a lot of horse. You're seeing some real powerhouse names in this horse's pedigree, like Midnight Bourbon and Mandaloon, or as we tell Chris Griffin lots of different ways to say the horse's name. King Fury, just a lot of quality. Lightly raced as well. I think he's going to be an awful lot of horse here.
The other thing for me was I didn't like the Litigant race at all. Litigant was a big long shot. It was just visually, I remember looking through the binoculars thinking like somebody's got to come get this horse because he did not look like he was traveling all that great. Not traveling great, but like just didn't look fast.
Yeah,
and nobody came and got him. And between him and Kadri, they're both coming out of that race, and I just didn't think that race looked all that good. So that was the other part of this equation was I just did, and Il Ferroni and those types. I just think they're ways behind the Dallas.
Yeah, I think he's just too much horse here.
I think he's going to be a single for a lot of folks in those early or late sequences. Ninth race on the card, maiden claimers going 5 furlongs. And I was real excited to see Peculiarity in here. Going to try the turf. They've tried a couple times and couldn't get on 5-1 in the morning line. But where did you land here in this finale?
Right with you with Peculiarity.
Yeah.
Run well from limited starts. The turf is obviously a question mark, but it looks like they were trying.
Yeah.
And Hamilton Smith is such a respected horseman. I just kind of trust his judgment. If he wanted to get this horse on the turf, that's enough for me.
Sassy Millie was one I kind of liked last week, and gosh, was it the I forget what day of the week it was. I guess it would have been Monday, but maybe Tuesday, whatever it was, the 10th.
It all bleeds together.
It does. Yeah. Well, because, we're recording days in advance. So doing the math, it's a whole, math's not my great thing. But I just thought that she made a little bit of sense as an on the lead type. She got the lead, couldn't hold it. She got beat by some more logical types, but the wheel back real quick to me is a little bit concerning just because I don't know that she's going to improve because it wasn't like that was like a first start off the layoff or something like that. Because I wanted to like her here, but and then I mentioned Mike Deeney earlier on. He's got one who's kind of a route speed horse now trying to go sprint, and that's not always the easiest thing.
I think this race kind of will be one of those pretty wide open ones. I also like the debut runner 706 Union, first time starter. A lot of turf influence in the pedigree. However, it's a lot of distance turf influence. I'm not sure if this is really the ideal spot, but I do like a debut runner here.
We shall see. Well, that's the 9th race, Jess. That means the card is over on a Tuesday, and we're going to wrap it up. Oh, I should ask your picks for the 9th race.
2, 10, 6, and 8.
We're going to close that out, the Tuesday program preview show. Again, we post these preview shows generally a few days early. You can always check them out on our YouTube page. Make sure to hit subscribe if you like the content. And we will see you guys at the track for Tuesday. We'll also see you back tomorrow for a Wednesday show. Good luck, everybody.